Something told me to record, so I'm recording. I get focused on before you were, I am, right? I guess I'm a little bit poetic with some of scripture, other parts of scripture. I don't know, man. Every so often a line just sticks out. It's like the first time I heard, the first time I read, I have uncircumcised lips. It was just like a beacon blaring. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Before you were, I am. That sticks out. I am that I am. Or, as Popeye famously says, eater of spinach, for strength, by the way, I am what I am. Not so far from the Parmenidian, Parmenidian, it is. I think it means more than that, but that's how it's known. And I am the light. I am the way. I am the Alpha and the Omega. So, some of these most obvious connections seem like the first place to start, right? Even though it's funny because I'm thinking of the way these words have filtered down to me, mostly in the vernacular of the day, in my time, in my place, with the scope that I have, with my purview. And this is just a slight philosophical side note about, it's weird because like I am the Alpha and the Omega. So are we saying that the great eternal, and what most of the time these days people talk about perfect God, perfect, unchanging, immutable God. Immutable, definitely. Eternal, definitely. Unchanging. Well, that's a weird one. Because clearly, right, this is the weird thing about words and math and language and physicality. We have to bounce off one to get to the other. Because eternity clearly as God, in time, has a motive, right? A motive. What's your motive, God? Well, it's not only what God is, but what God does. Well, if God is doing, I guess what I'm saying is maybe we misunderstand eternity a little bit. And maybe we associate the Alpha and the Omega as the same thing. For instance, to say I am the Alpha and the Omega, does that mean that the Alpha and the Omega is the same thing, the I am? Or does it mean that the I am encompasses the Alpha and the Omega, which is a growth of sorts, a transformation of sorts, a changing, a dynamism, an exaltation, a differencing? Yes. Like, the Omega is the assured eventuality. The alpha is the notion. The alpha is the intuition. The omega is the fulfillment of the authentic intuition. It's often stated, I've mentioned it before, but it's worth noting and noting and noting over and over and over again, is that the immovable mover, the first among things, the first cause, philosophically speaking, which is a really, millennially old idea. Like it's a great philosophical concept to promote, because I feel like, at least in popular vernacular, in popular speech and pop culture, the concept of the philosophical, first mover doesn't come up much, and it's like a ancient philosophical idea, more or less. Or it might as well be. But it's good because it gets the ball rolling, And I prefer that in a way to the idea of God not being the first among many. That God is being itself, and that God is being itself and set apart from just simply being the first among many. But there is a special place. There is a special distinction of the first among many when the first is the first of all firsts. Right? It's different to be the first human to do this or that than to be the first anything that ever did anything, right? The first anything, anyone, the first soul, the first soul of souls, the first Godhead, the first soul of souls, right? To do anything. Where there was nothing, to do anything where there was nothing that made everything. That's really different, right? We got to break it down somehow. I got the shirt from my dad. My grandmother died yesterday. I'll talk about it some other time. What was I talking about? I think I had so much more. The pull. The teleological pull. The teleological pull of the omega point. I am the alpha and the omega. I am that I am. I am what I am. I am the beginning and the end. I am the intuition. And I am the fulfillment of the intuition. We're not there yet, though. A new heaven, a new earth. Wars in heavenly realms. Where's heaven? Well, certainly heaven is in heavenly realms. Heaven is the heaven. There is a heavenly realm of heavenly realms, and within that heavenly realm there is a heaven. It's not so bad to think of concepts, breaking it down like that, with a little bit of language. It's not so bad. I mean, we don't need to get up on our pedestals, scream about it, but it's worth noting. Huh? The pull of the future is almost primal. Everything began, so to speak, when the Alpha glimpsed the Omega. And the Omega is the fulfillment of the Alpha's want. Community. See, this is one of those logical flaws about the whole idea of perfection. See, now, to be the first among all, and the first of the first of the firsts as a special case, is not quite being itself, but it is the most special thing in both being and becoming, because it's the singular catalyst. I mean, more than that, I'm not trying to diminish anything. I'm trying to speak to the power of our human free will. How that fits into the universe, the cosmos, all of philosophy, all of theology. I know I'm being grandiose with such a claim, but it's really easy to see when we look at the universe, which is cold, massive, calculating. And then there's all these asteroids. But then there's these millions and millions and billions of years of these slow movements. And then we zoom out and it's like galaxies, 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 galaxies. Like pinpricks, forever. Or so it seems. Because we don't know how many mirrors there are in the universe. Not mirrors the way we normally think of mirrors, but we talk about gravitational lensing and this and that, but imagine a light shining inside a spherical mirror that's shaped kind of like one of those, I don't know what they're called, but those like steel drums that are all banged out so you can, so imagine you're inside of like that shape that's a mirror inside with a light in it. Everything reflecting off everything else, all these highlights and diminishes. So when we think we're looking infinitely far, we don't know yet how to calculate the reflections, nor how that incorporates into the superluminal, if there's such a thing, which is more probable than multiverses. I'm just laying my cards on the table. I'm just saying it. No one ever says it. No one ever... See, it depends what we put against each other. Polarities, this polarity, that polarity. So there is, philosophically, intellectually, even though I'm a dumbass, I don't know how to talk about it, I don't know how to say the right words, But I know that it's true. I know that it's true. That there's a... What was I talking about? That there's a polarity between... Shit. I was really happy with this, too. Oh, right. Superluminal. Not versus quantum. Superluminal. Oh, yeah. Multiverse. Like, everybody's talking about multiverse. There are perceptual multiverses within a universe, which is the capital T cosmos, capital C. But if you had to put money on between, I don't know, because I feel like, am I wrong? I don't know. See, because I'm just like a popular science kind of guy, barely. But I take it seriously. What I can digest, I got other things on my mind. I'm sorry, I don't know everything. All right, the guys who know a lot of numbers don't know everything either. So every so often it takes a Diogenes to come around and stir it up. I'm not claiming to be Diogenesianatic. But maybe you are, and maybe you're the one person who will ever watch this. So good for us. But yeah, if you had to put money on between like the multiverse or I don't know, especially when you take it to the end, infinite universe. Every time there's a moment, even eternity ain't that big. Not to mention it's too binary. Doesn't take into account necessarily. Maybe it does. I don't know. I guess I haven't gotten into math. I just haven't heard the philosophy of it in words at a lay level. Maybe the idea of the multiverse does, because an event assumes two things meeting, right? But what about three things meeting, four things meeting, five things meeting? Are there a number of meetings that can't exist? What's the ratio of one-to-one meetings to one to? How would you even do two with two hands? It's kind of like two little nodes. 1 to 2 meeting, 1 to 3 meeting, 1 to 4 meeting, 2 to 3 meeting, like where there's a meet, where there's an event, right? Are those types of things even calculated, or does it matter? Does it only matter statistically in the aggregate? I don't know. The teleological pull, the pull of the future. God saw what chaos could be. In that forever dark dream of the waters of the deep, so to speak. In that forever dark dream of everything and everyone and all of us. Souls are eternal. Like, do we ever wonder, right? Say we die, go to heaven, right? And say you don't even believe in this. Right? Some who will watch this definitely believe in this and already hate me because they feel like I don't believe in it enough because of the words I've said that have been triggers, even though I'm just speaking clumsily. And other people would just be like, this guy think there's a God in heaven. What a dummy. You're both right. In a way. But just go along with the experiment for a minute, if you would. Either way. I forgot where I was going again. I'm going to try to pick it up. Where's it going? Omega point, the pulling, the want. All of us eternal. Oh yeah, what was that? What I was gonna say is like, wouldn't it be interesting? Because like, just think about it philosophically, theologically, in a story. What if, right? So I'll spoiler alert. I'm going to start with the conclusion, then go back to the beginning, come up to it. Like, what if those of us, and I'm not saying me, but amongst us, living in the world, so to speak, like, what if our guardian angels, so to speak, or what if so we die, we go to heaven, if we're real good. We die, we're even maybe resurrected. See, that's one of the things people don't talk about much, is that do we ourselves resurrect, and what does resurrection like actually physically look like? Well, it's beyond physicality, but now we know that, right, there's actual science beyond physicality, because we keep figuring out things kind of beyond what we can know physically through mathematics. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're constantly reaching behind physicality as we know it. How far does that go? All the way down, all the way up, all the way in, all the way out, all the way around, all the way inside, everywhere. Great. So we figure out more and more and more and more. There's more than meets the eye, right? It's not emergent. It's emissive. It's expulsive. It's exuberant. What people these days call emergent is the empirical way of talking about that which flows from the 0 point. The 0 point finds nodes in the greater than 0 point and the less than 0 point. I don't know. But yeah, that pull, that teleological pull, the Aristotelian final cause. Where are we going? When there was nothing except for all of us in eternity as notions, when all of us, undifferentiated as swirling notions, when the first differentiation amongst all these swirling notions came to be and said, I am, its vision was what could be. Because there's nothing so frightening as being just a notion. And the notion of that notion being, I am alone. Right? We are these primordial notions. And our greatest sin, pride, maybe. Probably, maybe, I don't know. But our greatest sin, maybe, is, simply the notion that I am not. I'm not. I don't exist. I don't matter. Maybe even a sin worse than pride. Because at least if we're prideful, we recognize that we matter. I don't know. Just something I'm thinking about. I know pride comes before the fall. But fall we must. If we think we don't matter, we'll never get to pride. And if we never get to pride, we'll never fall. And if we never fall, we'll never find ourselves in a place. Calling upon God. And must I point out that often the Christian world harshes upon Mary. My grandmother died yesterday. Her name was Marion. People called her Skeet. A lot of people called her Skeet. Aunt Skeet. Aunt Skeet. Aunt Skeet. Skeet. I can't remember now. She told me the story several times. I can't remember. I'll have to ask my mom. I can't remember why they called her Skeet. But her name's Marion, you know. Mary. When people are dying, man, they call for their mom. Especially when people are dying in agony. People call for their mom. This isn't a challenge to the Father. Not at all. It's just a prayer for the office and the station of motherhood. I'm being a little bit deliberate and poetic with my language. A little heavy, a little thick. Very lay. I hope you'll permit me that. Ye siblings, sisters and brothers, even though I'm uncomfortable saying that at the moment, because I feel like a very unworthy sibling at the moment. The Omega Point, the pull of the future. It's cold outside today. Every other living being besides us people, you know, it's probably right now outside's about -5 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that would be if that's like -10, -20 Celsius. I don't know. Pretty darn cold. And I got cold when I was pumping gas. On my way home from work. Got pretty chilly because I was outside for like 3 minutes. You know, not even probably. And I was cold. And I just thought of all the deer and so on. How lucky. How lucky I am for this warmth. Hard won. This hard won warmth. But I don't mean it like a poor me thing. It's I am my worst enemy. And I have to fight my addictions for my well-being, you know. And yeah, I guess I kind of trailed off there. For those of us living in the cold today, our forefathers and the people alive today. Maybe you, maybe some of you work to your work, your hands, your knowledge, the things you do every day keep people warm where it's cold, and we're all indebted to you because we'd all be dead without you. So, a prayer for you today. I don't even know what to call you because it's the people who deliver electricity and cordwood, propane, methane, natural gas. Wait, did I say electricity? Etc. Water supply, radiant heating, etc. The older I get, the more important I realize that the extraordinary people in our lives we don't notice matter the most. And every day I realize every day I feel more guilty for never having realized that before, and feeling ashamed and very hurt that it might be too late to do anything about it, that I won't live long enough to repay to society, to the world, and to Most High, that I won't be able to repay what I've been given, especially the way I live my life. But I'll never give up hope. And I hope I can do better than that.